If there's one thing I have learned from being a parent, it's that there's a whole lot of unpredictable. You don't really know what your kid is gonna grow up to be like, the things that they're gonna be interested in, the obstacles they're gonna face. And I mean, now, like, there's a whole bunch of uncertainty with the way the world is evolving and the way technology is changing, right? I don't know if this kid, my youngest, is ever going to need to learn to drive a car, because maybe they'll all be self-driving by that point. And there's a whole bunch of things that I don't know how things are going to shake out and how her life is going to diverge from what my life and people in my generation have become accustomed to. But at the same time, there's a lot of things that never change, right? Natural curiosity, communication, the way friendships and relationships are made, right? There are these things that are just so innately human that they never go away, and you can kind of always rely on them. And I'm using this as a metaphor for a lot of the changes that I think a lot of us in the digital marketing world are noticing right now, right? My agency is about 6 years old, and we grew it on the backs of a really reliable organic inbound marketing strategy, right? So we knew that if you built a nice, well-structured, optimized website and you published really quality content on a consistent basis, over time, your website was going to rank for more keyword searches, you were going to attract more visitors and more leads, and you were going to turn your website into a true instrument for growth. That was just inevitable if you did it right and stuck with it. Kind of like if you just like stick with healthy habits, like eat right, work out, get a bunch of sleep, don't consume too much alcohol or sugar, like that is a reliable plan. But now there are some things that are happening that are kind of threatening that, especially with the emergence of AI and LLMs, right? Recently, I had a client call me. Mind you, this is one of our longest tenured clients who we've had the most success with. Within a couple of months of when we started working with them, their website traffic had more than doubled, and they were starting to get a steady stream of qualified leads, finding them on the internet and coming through their website. And there aren't many clients that we've been able to produce this level of ROI for now at least 4 years. And we were talking about a couple of things, and then he asked, how much is our blog strategy really helping us anymore? And I knew exactly what he was getting at, because these are questions that I've been asking and conversations that we've been having both internally and with our clients. I know exactly what he's getting at. He's getting at more and more people are using ChatGPT and LLMs instead of search engines. So the amount of people that could potentially find us through Google is shrinking. Also, more people who still use Google are getting their answers from the AI overview at the top. So more Google searches are not resulting, I should say fewer Google searches are actually resulting in a click-through. So if we're spending all of this time and energy and money trying to get found on search engines when people are searching for us, but it's becoming less and less likely that that is going to bear fruit, what are we going to do? Is SEO dead? Is a question a lot of people are asking. And I think somebody in my position who runs an agency that, butters its bread on this type of work, it's not something we can run from. We have to acknowledge it. I absolutely think that many aspects of a traditional SEO and inbound marketing strategy are not as promising as they have been for a long time. Now there's the flip side, right? SEO is not dead. First of all, the way these LLMs work is they source content from authoritative domains. The same authoritative domains that traditionally rank high on Google and other search engines. So the way you would optimize your website for search engines is quite similar to essentially optimizing it for being included and sourced by an LLM or a ChatGPT. So a lot of the same principles still apply. Also, there's a lot of things that people are just not going to be accustomed to using ChatGPT or other LLMs for, especially when it comes down to making a decision and trying to get in contact with a business or a person. But certainly a lot of that top funnel awareness stage content is really being threatened. I don't know how many people, if you want to learn about something, are going to want to use a search engine anymore. They're going to want to ask ChatGPT if you're curious to just like research something or learn more about something. So this is very threatening for a lot of businesses. There are a lot of businesses around the world that are seeing a decline in organic search traffic. So the question is, what do you do about it? The good news is, though, the silver lining in all of this is that, one, my daughter will find a way to entertain herself no matter what. She's currently playing with a headphone jack cord. The other thing is that it's never been a better time to achieve organic reach on social media, because whether it's LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or whatever, these algorithms are getting better and better at knowing what you're interested in and serving you that content. The other thing that must be said is that in a world where anybody can generate written content in seconds, it devalues your ability to produce written content. If you could have this awesome blog that was just constantly churning out great written content 10, 15 years ago, that was a huge advantage. Now that doesn't really separate you, because those are a dime a dozen, because anybody can produce written content. Also, even though it is proven that human-generated content performs better than AI-generated content in searches and in marketing circumstances, it's creating this sea of sameness. So marketing has always been, what can we do to step outside the norm, to step outside the commoditization of our industry or whatever. It also happens to be happening at the same time where it's easier than ever to produce video content, and more specifically, just pull back the curtains and showcase real human thought, knowledge, expertise, and connection. So the funny thing is that 50 years ago, you could gain customers by running an ad that made a promise that you could do something or benefit somebody's life in some way. But then everybody got used to that, and it wasn't enough to differentiate you. Then you had to demonstrate and proactively share knowledge through blog posts and ebooks and resource guides and things like that. Well, that's not enough anymore either. What really, really works is showcasing the actual humans inside your organization that live and breathe what you do every single day. What I find so interesting is that as technology has gotten more and more advanced, what continues to work better is getting closer and closer and closer and closer to the source of knowledge, expertise, and essentially human connection. So if you want to succeed in this new world, what I would suggest is find a way to ungate, highlight, and expose your humans. People want to follow other people, and they want to feel connection, and they want to be led by people who clearly live and breathe whatever it is they do. I am more likely to follow a human HubSpot expert than the HubSpot Instagram account or LinkedIn account, because I want to follow people, not companies, even though HubSpot has a great social media presence. Shout out to HubSpot. So imagine this. 5 years ago, you would, whether you're doing it internally or working with an agency, you would come up with a content strategy and you would approve topics to be produced and written, and then that you would produce them and then you would share them. However, you would do that in whatever format. Now, what if every month you could just get on camera for 20 minutes? Whether it's you bring a production crew to your office, or you just jump on a Zoom and chat with your employees or your clients or your business partners podcast style or something. And then you take that and you convert that into a long form video. You chop it up into several short clips. You use AI to generate summaries and repurpose that into small blog posts that literally outline everything that you talked about and embed the video on it. And now in just 20 minutes of you talking about something that you know like the back of your hand, you've generated 10 or 20 or 30 pieces of content. Not only that, that's the type of content that people want to consume. People don't need to read 10 more blog posts. They want bite-sized information from trusted experts that they want to follow. So what this is ultimately getting at is very similar to being a parent. I don't know all of the technology that my children are going to use. I don't know how that's going to affect how they learn, how they buy things, how they do whatever, right? But at the end of the day, they just want to be connected because we are social tribal creatures. And they're always going to want to interact with and follow other people who can guide them and help them in whatever way possible. I think it's time for you to be one of those people, because no matter what, whether you're business to business or business to consumer or what industry you're in or anything, everything is human to human, and that is never ever going to go away. I wish you the best of luck in adjusting to this ever-changing landscape, and just remember that the winning strategy always is being yourself, sharing your expertise, what you know, and just ungating it in the most effective and consistent way possible. That is the essence, it is the substance, dare I say, it is the gist of what makes you you. Thanks for listening.